I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to like living in Boise, Idaho in the winter. I've lived everywhere from San Diego to Seattle and Atlanta, now here in Boise, Idaho, and there is so much to learn about the winters here in Boise, Idaho. So today I'm going to give you my top pros and cons of living here. I'm going to take you on a little drive so that you can see exactly what the streets are like on a day where it was worth canceling school due to snow, and some practical tips. So let's get after it right now. My name's Rachel, and on this channel I do my very best to teach you everything there is about working, playing, and living in Idaho. So if you need me to be your eyes and your ears and teach you everything there is about relocating to the Treasure Valley, Idaho, then go ahead and tap the subscribe button and click this little bell. That way you never miss one of my videos on living in Idaho. I'm a licensed realtor and local investor here. As much as I enjoy making these videos, I love helping people relocate to Idaho even more. So if you're thinking about relocating here, or if you're in the midst of it, give me a call, shoot me a text, or write me an email, and I can help you come and move to this winter wonderland here in Boise, Idaho. With no further ado, my top pros and cons of living in Boise, Idaho in the winter. This is my 6th winter here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho, and let me tell you, not only do I learn something different every year, I'm always a little bit surprised by our winters year after year. They're never quite the same, and I wish I knew more about what to expect prior to moving here. I'm really grateful that I love the winters here in Boise, Idaho, but I think it's really important to be a little bit more familiar with exactly what the different seasons are like before deciding if Boise, Idaho is the right place for you to relocate to or not. So you've probably heard that Idaho has some crazy winters, and you're probably really aware that we have 4 seasons. But what you might not know is that here in Boise, Idaho and the metro, because we are a high desert and we sit at the base of the foothills, we're a little bit of an exception to the rule as far as Idaho is concerned. We have our own microclimate, and we are sitting in what is called a banana belt. So it tends to be a lot more mild of a winter here in the Treasure Valley than other places in Idaho. Those foothills that we're surrounded by, they really get a lot of the snow, which is fantastic because if you're the kind of person who likes to go skiing, we've got some amazing skiing right here in our very own backyard, 30 to 45 minutes away. But when you come down that hill, you come back into a fairly mild winter. I thought today was the most perfect day to make this video. It was not in my plan, but as you can see, it is snowing outside. So I thought, why not show them, get out onto the streets, out into the neighborhood, exactly what it looks like on a snowy day here in Boise, Idaho, all while teaching you everything that I've learned over the last 6 years of living here. So, embarrassingly enough, I got up this morning, I bundled up my kids, I drove all the way to school, and all the lights were off. And there were only 2 other sets of car tracks in the snow at the school, and I thought, okay, did I miss something on the calendar? Like, Christmas is still a couple weeks away. I thought winter vacation wasn't going to start yet. Nope, school was canceled due to snow. You would think on a day where school was canceled that there's probably a lot of snow, but there was really only about 3 inches on the ground. The road, when I left my house at 7:20, had some snow, but it was mostly cleared off. It wasn't bad at all. And I was just like, why the heck would they cancel school on a day like this? So our winters here get anywhere from 3 to 5 snows. Typically, when you're leaving in the morning after there's been a little bit of traffic, there's no snow left on the roads. In the neighborhoods, it's a little bit more touch and go depending on where you are. If there's not a lot of traffic through the streets in your neighborhood, you'll typically have some snow on the ground in your neighborhood for a little bit longer period of time. But as the day goes on, actually I'll show you what it can look like right here. So we have this cool little, this used to be a golf course in our neighborhood. And so we have these cool common spaces, but that's just a walking path. But the roads, they'll look like that. The sidewalks, if they're not cleared off, that's about what you get. This is literally it, folks. This is as heavy as it gets. When it snows at night and you wake up in the morning, it is normally cleared within a few days. It's gone. And then you mostly have things like rain, wind, little snow flurries here and there. The only time, in my opinion, that winter can feel really harsh is when we have an inversion. So an inversion is when the cold air gets trapped underneath clouds and the warm air sits on top of the clouds. We're here in a valley, so when the inversion comes and the clouds sit over the valley, it gets really, really gray. You see no sun, which is not typical here. Typically in the Treasure Valley, we have more sunny days than not. Even on snow days, we typically have a lot of sun. The sun was out earlier today, as a matter of fact. The inversions are awful. I would consider it my number one con of living here. The air quality is poor during that time. Depending on where you are in the Treasure Valley, it starts to smell because there's no wind. And we've got a sugar beet factory in Nampa, as well as a lot of farms. And the farms and the sugar beet factories tend to put off a scent, and it starts to waft through the rest of the Treasure Valley. So the winter, in my opinion, that is when it's the harshest. The inversions typically only last a few days at a time. There have been times where it lasts a little bit longer, and it can be a little bit of a struggle because, like I said, it is so dark and gray. It starts to feel pretty depressing. Sometimes it snows during inversion, sometimes it doesn't. But all in all, the inversions are, in my opinion, the hardest part of the winters here. It starts to get cold. I would call it cold season here, the end of October, right around Halloween, and it typically lifts around March. But winter, true winter, is sometime starting end of November, beginning of December, and ends about mid-February. Another con of living in Boise, Idaho in the winter, and this is also coupled with a pro tip, is a lot of people don't realize that they need to clear the snow off the top of their car that's built up. The reason for that is not only it does that snow blow onto the car behind you while you're driving, but ice can build up under there, and if ice flies off the back of the car, it makes it super, super dangerous for the person behind you. So at Costco, at the start of winter, they sell these long broom stick looking things that have a scraper on one side and a broom on the other. Make sure you're sweeping off the top of your car, and you're going to want to keep that in the trunk as opposed to the garage at home, because if you're going out for dinner in the evening, let's say, or you have errands to run, if you're going into the store and coming back out, there's a chance that there's some snow built back up on the top of your car. It could freeze pretty quickly, and you're definitely just going to want to clear that off. And you're also going to want to quickly scrape your window so that you can see when you're driving. So con, a lot of people don't do that. I don't know if they don't know not to do it, or if they're just in a hurry and they're not taking the time to do it. But it's very frustrating and very dangerous. Do not be too close to the person in front of you if you see built up snow on the back of their car. Another thing about living in Idaho is we have a lot of garages. There's a lot of houses here with garages because of the weather. It's more common to have a home with a garage here than not. There are parts of downtown Boise though that don't. There's some other parts in Caldwell, Nampa. So if you're thinking of relocating here, you're definitely going to want to give us a call so that we can make sure if a garage is important to you, especially if you have some toys and you need some RV parking. RV parking can be very, very, very difficult to come across. Give us a call, shoot us a text, write us an email so we can start keeping our eyes open for you on that. But because of the Four Seasons here and all the people with their toys and their four-wheelers, garages are very common. You hardly ever, if ever, see any new homes being built without a garage. So that is definitely a pro of living somewhere with Four Seasons. And I mean, how fun is it to have neighbors with toys if you yourself don't have them? Another big pro of living in Idaho in the wintertime here in Boise is all the recreation and all the community, all the activities. It is absolutely incredible what happens here in the wintertime. You would think everyone's locking themselves in the house and staying inside, but because the winters are pretty mild and it's pretty exciting every time it snows, you get days like this where all the kids in the neighborhood come out, build snowmen, sled. We've got this amazing outdoor ice skating rink in Nampa, Idaho, and there's fire pits there. There's Christmas lights everywhere. We've got another one in Meridian at the village. It is so fun to live here in the winter. There's always things to do. We have a state park right here in our backyard. It's less than a 5-minute drive from where I'm standing, Eagle Island State Park, and they have huge snow sledding, luge. I think it's called a luge. I need to look that up, but you can go snow sledding there. There's all sorts of activities. People are just constantly out. We don't let the weather scare us here in Idaho. And it's a really big deal because, as many of you know, we need to be outdoors in the natural elements for our health, and so do our kiddos. So if you're somebody who likes to throw on some snow boots with your kids and get outside, you are absolutely going to love it in the winter here. There's just so much to do, so many community events. It's so family oriented. And I will say, even if you're not a Four Season and winter person, depending on where you're looking to relocate from, the low cost of living, the low crime, and the wonderful people, and the big homeschool communities, the school choices, our conservative values, it all makes it pretty darn worth it to relocate here. Anyway, the winter is not that wintry. So if you're a very, very wintry person and you want to be snowed in all winter, Boise, Idaho might not be the place for you. But if you think you can handle a few light snows here and there with the rough inversions, then I guarantee you're probably going to love Boise, Idaho. Now, I am going to walk down the street here in my own neighborhood, show you another con, and then I'm going to jump in the car and I'm going to show you a really busy intersection and shopping center so that you can see exactly what it looks like here in Idaho on a snow day, on a day where it snowed enough to cancel school. Okay, I'm going to walk you through my neighborhood so you can see exactly what it looks like on a day like this. So right now in our community space where we have some green space, which each neighborhood, the builder is required to leave some green space. We've got kids over here sledding and building snowmen. Earlier, we had some kids out here throwing snowballs to see how far they could throw them on this frozen pond. We have two big frozen ponds. There's an entire family of ducks that hang out on this ice. And then the parts of the pond, whoop, I almost just fell in a hole, where it's not frozen, you'll see them splashing around. And it's really kind of funny because you don't think that birds would enjoy swimming around literally in frozen water, but it's like they're at Disneyland or something. So let me show you what my neighborhood, what the streets look like in a neighborhood. So you can see right here, the sidewalks are cleared off, and more than likely somebody came in with a shovel and plowed this, but it does typically start to melt down on the sidewalks faster than everywhere else. So we're looking, it's about 1 o'clock, and you can see that there's been quite a bit of driving happening on the road, and that really melts a lot of it down. And then in my neighborhood, everyone does a really good job of clearing off their sidewalks and driveways. Something you absolutely do not want to do is They sell something at the hardware stores to help melt the ice. Do not use it. It will destroy the concrete on your driveway, and it starts to put big holes in it and make it kind of like, I don't know, it just really tears it off. Big rookie mistake. Don't do it. I don't know why they sell it if it destroys your property. If you move to an area that's more rural than this is not what you can expect as far as the roads midday. Unless you have someone in your neighborhood with a truck that puts a plow on the front and goes through, which, depending on how close you are to some of the local farms, some of those guys will go through, depending on where they live, and they'll help just kind of plow through it. And there are some neighbors that will get together and pay for that. There's some guys that go around here with their pickup trucks and the plow, and will plow those streets in those more rural areas. But in a neighborhood like this, you got plenty of driving happening during the day, and it makes it fairly easy to drive around in the suburbs. So this is what it looks like on Snowmageddon Day, a day where school was canceled. Not too bad, huh? One of my biggest cons of living in Boise, Idaho in the winter is this. Let me just step right aside. Check this out. We have here a trash can with the lid open. Guys, I don't know what it is about our trash company here in Boise, Idaho, but they are horrible. And in the winter, they don't close the lids on the trash can. So if you're not home and you can't put your trash can right away, it sits all day with the rain and snow going in there, and it fills up with water, and it is disgusting. Another crazy thing, in my opinion, is they only pick up recycling every other week. So here, that's the size trash can you get. The lid is left open after they pick up the trash, and you only get your recycling picked up once every other week. With that being said, we are getting a new trash company starting in January. It is going to be more expensive, and they have some different rules, but we'll see if they close the lids on the trash cans after they pick up your trash or not. The reason why, here's a little bit of a local information, local insider information. The reason why we're getting a new trash company is because rumor has it that the mayor in Eagle put concrete in his trash. The trash company wasn't okay with it. They got in a little bit of a fight, and now, lo and behold, come January, we're going to have a new trash company. I'm willing to pay a little bit more money for things like that to not occur. So I'm actually pretty excited about it. Okay, so we jumped in the car, and we are on the cusp of Eagle, Idaho and Meridian, Idaho, at a really busy intersection, Chinden and Linder. So from here, we're about, I'd say, 15 minutes-ish from downtown Boise. School was canceled today, and typically you would picture a canceled school day, pretty snowy, pretty wild streets, pretty dangerous, and that is just not the case at all. I actually think it's kind of silly school was canceled today, and I'm going to show you what this main intersection right here on Chinden and Linder looks like right now. So let's get our window down. So you can see it didn't slow down anybody's day. We've got Costco just a mile up the street, Fred Meyer, Winco, both big grocery stores out here. We're surrounded by neighborhoods. There's a handful of private schools on this street, one public school, and the only thing that was shut down today is school. This is as bad as it gets or as good as it gets, depending on your perspective here in the winter in Boise, Idaho, or throughout the Treasure Valley. It's pretty magical for a snow day, seeing all the kids out and about, in my opinion. If you're thinking of relocating here and you have questions about the winter or about other seasons or just anything in general, please don't hesitate. Give me a call, shoot me a text, write me a message. This is what we do. Also, we have this incredible give back program where we donate money on your behalf to one of the 3 charities that I'm going to pop up here on the screen and list in the description below. If you buy or sell a home with us, we donate the money on your behalf. One of these foundations helps keep Idaho free, protects our medical freedoms, protects our right to choice, school choice, you name it. As long as it keeps Idaho free, we're all about it. One of them is to help the victims of sex trafficking recover, that's COBS. And the other one is to fight for our kiddos, fight against indoctrination, and keep our public schools here. I shouldn't say keep, because the public schools here have started implementing some of the stuff that you're trying to move away. So that's another important reason to call. We can talk about all of that. But until the next video, be blessed.